Welcome everybody to another live stream for today and another planning stream in total. Hello, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing great. It's good to see some of you again, and looking around at my settings, yes, so far the internet is holding strong. Welcome on back, or welcome for the first time. My name is Jenna O'Malley. I am your soul writer, author of sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references. Alongside the stories my characters weave throughout time and space, I help other people such as yourselves get back to doing and creating and writing and producing and all the wonderful things that you love most. And one of the things, or two of the things rather, that we have been talking about a lot lately, not just in chats, but also off and on in my coaching sessions I've been holding with people one-on-one, is the benefit of using things on subscriptions such as Ream Stories, which we're talking about today, or doing routine campaigns on crowdfunding such as Kickstarter, which we're talking about today. There is a link there in the chat if you want to go ahead and feel welcome to check it out. The link in the chat is the www.jennathesoulwriter.com/tier builders, TIER builders, plural, lowercase, all one word, no spaces or anything. And that's going to be where you can get the workbook, the slides, the replay to this video. And I also went ahead and included some bonus thank you journals, including a 28-day self-love, self-care challenge. So let's go ahead and see who all is here first and say hello to the chat. Oh, by the way, we are going live in two places today. Not only am I going live directly on my YouTube channel, I'm also live on my Facebook page for the first time. So if you are over on the Facebook and they prompt you to show this, to have your name on screen and whatnot, please do feel welcome to go ahead and use that link if you feel you need it. Thank you for being here, no matter which end you're on. Inka, hello, my dear friend. Inka is an amazing example, literally, of an award-winning Ream Stories example. I believe in some of the resources that I included with the workbook at the very end. You can find the link to Inka's, and I'm often shouting out Inka's because literally, wow, just thank you for being an example and for sharing all you share with us. We're going to be going over a couple other resources as well, and usually Inka's hanging around in those spots as well. Writer Sam Wicker, hello Sam, great to see you. Mel, the storm is just starting. I'm sorry I sent it your way, my friend. I'm glad you have the hot chocolate. Do you have chips? Do you have storm chips? That's what I got to ask to my Canadian friends. Brandy, hello. And Sarah, hello. Looking at the prices for custom stickers, this is one of the things we'll probably talk about today. There is a section in the workbook and the slides where we'll address digital versus physical swag. And we're going to collab talk it out. We might not do as many journaling sprints today as we did the last time I did one of these type of plan with me lives earlier this month or end of 2023, one of the two. We're probably going to be chatting a little bit more. And if we feel we need to go to a journaling sprint, we sure will do. Not doing storm chips, but you have storm naan bread. Good choice. I endorse this choice. Hello there, Camille. It's good to see you as well, my friend. For those of you who are just joining in, there is the link if you want to go ahead and load in the workbooks and the slides and things for today's live stream that we're about to go ahead and get into momentarily here. I literally am just about to go ahead and pull them up on our screen for us and get us running and chatting where we needs to be with it. Okay. So if you want to go ahead and get it all downloaded, get it all set up, I personally am just going to go ahead and type my answers. That's just how my brain works. I also know I plan to put some of my data in a table and I want to have it all there and not hand draw it. So if you want to type some of your answers, you're welcome to go ahead and do so. You're also welcome to visit this on the replay anytime you like. I'll keep it on the replay because we probably will have a lot of notes to share and a lot of ideas to share. I want to keep this about an hour. Will probably be an hour and a half is what I told the Cody the Cheesecake Man, kind of like we did last time. So first and foremost, let me get a couple of screens switcheroonied around here because I need to add and I need to, whoops, go ahead and remove a couple of things for us. So if you are starting out at the very top of the journal, I have some overall Ream Stories tier questions, and then I have some Kickstarter questions after we do some compare and contrast in between the two along the way. If we run over that hour and a half, we'll make a part 2. I don't think we'll need a part 2, but in case, I can offer that to finish up any questions we have left over. So to start out with, questions. Let's get real. This is where most of us are hesitating with a subscription platform, whether it be Patreon, Ko-fi, Substack, anything that is a routine posting, whether it be a newsletter, whether it be a book box or whatever. When you start talking subscriptions, when you start talking serialized releases, you need to start considering this, in my opinion, first. And I don't think this is where a lot of people start. They start going, I need to learn the platform first. Let's back it up. A lot of us in chat are already doing a lot of other things. Let's get realistic. How many hours a week can I realistically dedicate to not only learning the thing, setting up the thing, but updating and maintaining the thing on the routine, since it's subscription based, okay? There is a good scheduling option. You can schedule stuff far ahead as you can, in my opinion. But realistically, let's get honest with ourselves. Those of us who partake in Sarah Cannon's HB90, we know some of us are not starting this quarter. Some of us are not starting this year, and that's okay. But let's get realistic. What do we have available to us? The next item to consider is not for my screen to refresh me and kick me out. Let's re-add. Let's re-add the slides. Blooper. Y'all been asking for blooper reels. Y'all been asking for blooper reels. You're welcome. All right, where were we? Luckily, we weren't that far in. Add to stage. As I was saying, can I realistically use a certain number of time frames in the next X number of weeks to set this up and schedule out some items early? Whenever we're in HB90 land, Sarah Cannon refers to these what are our time sinks. So, for example, I know I have a 3-day weekend this weekend because Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday is on Monday here in the States, so I don't have work. I have a paid day off. So I'm going to use that day probably to finish getting more of book 4 scheduled. I have a ton of it already out. Maybe I want to take that day to get a week or 2 ahead. Are you posting daily? Are you posting weekly? Are you posting monthly? Because don't forget, you have to promise a minimum and then do it or more. So for those of us who are in the Becca Symes school of what is good, better, best, you might want to offer good, aim for better, and if they get best, that was just a special month, and that's okay. And that's okay. Thank you all for your patience with me getting kicked out and back in then. Miranda, hello. Thank you for stopping in. Miranda's finishing up a live here over the course of our hour going. So if you are not sitting in with Miranda, please give them a follow or watch any replays of theirs that you can. Okay, please do. Thank you for stopping in, my friend. So some of us, we just went through HB90 boot camp. So some of this is going to be fresh in our minds. I was going to say, posting monthly, you've got enough to schedule for over a year and like a year and a half for your pen name. So Mel's probably going to have some things that aren't necessarily set it and forget it, but set it and check on it every 2-3 weeks to make sure tech gremlins didn't hiccup you somehow with the system update, right? And it can literally be, I call this fly by clicking beta testing. In other words, I just need to make sure it all loads and says what it needs to say, and then I'm out of there. I do this with my Amazon files and whatnot for other vendors. When I go and check my royalties, I will just go and check and make sure, is everything kosher that needs to be kosher anyway. So the set it and forget it mindset's super helpful. Precious, it's good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome. I hope you're doing well. Welcome in. If you want to go ahead and join in with the link for all the goodies, it should be there toward the top. And then how many tiers do I want to go with realistically and why? I think is the natural progression from this previous question. Okay. I noticed, I know the subscription for authors team suggests, but in practice, what you see is different. Keep that in mind. So if you want to see what the creators and the true experts and gurus on this topic have to say, double check out the Facebook and the YouTube areas that I suggested from them earlier. I see a lot of people have like 3 to 5 tiers, 3 to 7. I've seen as high as 7, but I think some of those tiers have things like Discord groups, Facebook groups. They're multi-layered with a lot of digital stuff. So it kind of comes into play of, do you just have digital stuff? Do you just have physical stuff? And we'll address that all here in a little bit for you. You kind of threw your tiers together. Bad mistake. Don't do me. This is Jenna. Jenna's going through a tier remodel right now. The move also happened, so I couldn't follow through on a couple of things I wanted to do when I wanted to do them either. So that's the other thing. When life happens, this question comes back and needs readdressed. So that's why I put this one and the one before it first. Wow, really? That's a lot. That's a lot. I was going to say, I've probably seen as high as 10 tiers. Kind of like Patreon, there's probably your average 3 to whatever or 5 to whatever with your outliers. Yeah. I think also some of that would have to, for what Brandy is saying, how many people are you bringing to those tiers would apply? How many people would be part of those tiers would apply? So how many tiers then do you need realistically? A Jenna O'Malley is going to be, we're talking about tiers for building a Ream Stories platform, my friend. If you wanted the link, if you wanted the link for everything, I can go ahead and reshare. Un momento. Just got to scroll to the top of the ever-growing document of awesome. I was going just about to ask. Inca, I'm trying to remember. I don't want to misspeak here, but Inca, I think, is kind of close to that average range. I could be wrong. I'm going to admit I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've looked at in detail Inca's actual landing page for number of. You have one right now, but very little up and going at the minute. This is the other thing that was going on with me. I wanted to get most of my backlog updated. So how much are you bringing to? Like, do you have 2 or 3 books? Or like in Mel's case, do you have an entire pen name backlog? I think Inca said they wrote like 10 plus books. There's a ton up on Incas. Just go check Incas. Just go check Incas. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's okay. It's okay. I got kicked out too. Literally. I did too. It's okay. So, what we had asked you there, my friend Inca, was how many tiers do you have on your Ream Stories? I couldn't remember the exact number off the top of my head. Sam, you have 5 right now, but 1 full book and scheduling another. Good. Awesome. I have books 1, 2, and 3, and like the first 18-ish chapters of book 4. I was doing daily releases. It's now going to a weekly release, but I'm going to try and put 5 chapters up and schedule it a week. Some of what we're going to talk with Kickstarter is also influencing my rate. And I was right. You were in that like 3 to 5, 3 to 7 range. Yep. But you have more you want to do. You are amazing, and yours is so interactive. I think that's the other thing to keep clear here with the tiers too. There's more than just scheduling it out involved, depending on what you want your tiers to do. We're going to get more specific into the tiers with a couple of the next questions. But for me, if I were to answer this, I would put 3 to 7. I know I can, in a good, better, best, I can handle 3 to 4. That's good. Better, 5 to 6. Best is 7. That's kind of where my brain would go again. Just what can I realistically get my brain to handle? For those of us who has a day job, you know what we addressed with the previous question. And then, do you plan on using Kickstarter in connection with Ream Stories? And will there be ways to use one to build the other? If so, why or how? I'm not just talking about using your Ream Stories to advertise for your Kickstarter and vice versa. Should you do that? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you try and get foot traffic to all of your different streaming incomes? Somebody who owns a reign of pizza chains or a regional chain of pizza restaurants. That's what I'm trying to say. Reboot. They're going to prefer to, well, we're full here tonight. We can't take your reservation, but if you go to the one over on XYZ Street, they have an opening. Same thing would apply here. 1 tier is enough. Yes. And if you are tiny, 1 tier can be plenty. 1 tier can keep you busy for a while. Do you have to set it and forget it and leave your tiers that way forever? Some of my friends who run Patreons will do a Patreon refresh. That's a subtle one twice a year. Now that's for stuff like cleaning up comments, threads that are old and dated, and making sure that kind of stuff stays on the routine. But they'll also do, update the graphics, make it look pretty. I know Inca's always looks pretty. Always looks pretty. I want to say K Parquet also had done some holiday themed stuff. So kind of like how I will do here for the YouTube channel, make different graphics and stuff to make it, holiday themed. You could invest that time. You could add on, like, some tiers include, like I said, membership to a Facebook group. Not if you want to replace Kickstarter with another platform. I think this would be an amazing Kickstarter for you, but you really want the funds to do some great art up front. Yep. This is the hard spot here. Getting that art, especially, a lot of people are relying on AI. Do what you want. It's your choice. I'm not going to say more than that, but it's up to you. It's up to you. And we'll talk more about Kickstarter here in a moment. And yes, going to get more followers on Ream before Kickstarter. Love that. Drive your newsletter traffic if you have any, or your YouTube channel traffic if you have any accordingly. Do we want to pause and stop or go straight into digital swag? Like, do you guys need a moment to write down some notes? Or are we going on to digital swag for Ream Stories? I have a couple of feedbacks if I'm good. I know we've been chatting for a solid 15 minutes on this topic alone, so I wanted to make sure everyone had a second or two there. In that case, if we need to stop me with a question. So, digital swag for Ream Stories. What kind of things can I make myself? Canva. Hello. Give me an example. You can design your own stickers in Canva and get them mass printed. You printing here in the US, I got like 100 of these for my book one Kickstarter. I think I paid $40 with shipping. There are some amazing places to get bulk of those things. Notice I didn't label that one with Kickstarter. So what am I doing with the extras? They go to the next Kickstarter and they go to general swag. So what can you design yourself in Canva? This is getting turned into a digital avatar. And I'm going to do one for each book with Ream Stories. So if they wanted to download it and use it like on Facebook or on Discord, they could. Could you do your characters say motivational stuff? Like one of Ian's most popular quotes that people say they love again and again is he asks Neftiri, do you know how priceless you are? Why haven't I put that on a sticker yet and made it merch? Is literally what I asked myself the other day. Us writers, our characters say these huge, impactful things. What can we do to let their dialogue stand out and not just their art? You can make those stickers in Canva. You can make those stickers in Canva. Your line with AI is that you won't exactly. It's fine if, like, one writing exercise I often enjoyed giving teenagers that I taught writing to with AI was tell AI to give you a random picture of a set of train tracks and a person walking down it. Now write 500 words on the picture. That's a good use of AI. You're using randomosity to your advantage in an inspirational way then. But you're still doing most of the work. Okay? So I got to agree here. It's one thing if you're using it to kind of spark inspo or get you unstuck and you're still doing 95% of the work. I understand. They were beautiful and Kickstarter sweat. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Brandy was one of my amazing backers. You rock, my friend. Precious, thank you for stopping in. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You have a good day, my friend. And thank you. Thank you. So alongside the what can you make yourself, then I'm going to go to and suggest somebody if you want anime style. What kind of things can I commission? Like character art. When Carly mentioned Jeremy, my artist Suntroa, he does not do just the style I asked him to do. He does a lot of similar, but if you want somebody who does good character art who is going to give you the rights to it, that's key. You get the rights to it. He charges you what he's worth. Trust me. The dude probably is not even taking minimum wage from me hourly with what he does. And he puts a ton into his work. So good suggestion there. I also know that Devin Gamble Clark and their co-author friend have made the All Call Indie database. This is a treasure trove of another place where you could find people who could help you make swag stuff like this. There are other options. I've known people to go to places like Temu and whatnot to get stuff, like pens, not enamel pins, legit bulk pens, and just little tiny things that are swag. Check out your local crystal shop. I kid you not. I'm actually working in connection with a manufacturer potentially for my next Kickstarter to do one of the stretch goal items where they're literally going to like put the book stuff and print it on. That's more expensive, way more involved. Hoping to be able to afford to do that. But what can you do is also going to include what you can invest now. Okay. Here's going to be where we start talking what money should I start putting in now so that way I can start advertising it later. Okay. Now, we're going to be talking also about not just digital stuff because you can have desktop wallpapers you make in Canva, having done this myself, I'll admit, that you used your commission art with. I use my commission art I get from Jeremy until people are sick of seeing it for a reason. I paid for it. Why not? Let that be a guide on your digital swag because once you make it, it's just a matter of updating it thematically. Is that time sink worth it to save you money now so that way you can upgrade to better stuff later, more long term? Those are decisions you can start making now. What tiers receive digital swag only? Do you want it your bottom 3 tiers only? Or do your top tiers get like one of those? You get what's on tier 1, goes with what's on tier 2, 3, 4, 5, and up. Do you do what's on tier 1 is only a special digital only because maybe you have a lot of international people? This is something I'm considering. Maybe you have a large international audience and you can't yet afford the sync to pay the shipping without making them pay a ton more. So maybe you make a special tier that is uber digital swag that's a little bit cheaper so those people don't feel so left out. Mind you, this is kind of a how many people are you bringing to the platform that would expect that special treatment or would prefer and appreciate it too. Let's get real. Let's get real. Know your audience. Know your audience. Are there seasonal items I want to offer? I would love it if one thing I kept from my original Ream Stories tiers is sending everybody who is in the top tier a yearly seasonal mug. That only that top tier gets that design. Is that something I feel I can realistically do right now? We're talking that tier is going to have to be like they're paying $100 a year or more. You see what I mean? They're going to be my VIPs. Yeah, it's a wonderful idea. But something like that where they're going to get drop shipped a special edition mug from me every December, that's going to have to be a lot. And you'll have to start calculating these costs to make sure your tiers are going to cover these costs from a business standpoint. Okay. So that's the one big thing with not just Ream Stories, but more so when we start talking about Kickstarter. Start keeping in mind you really should be doing research on what the costs are early and making sure you're checking to make some profit after those costs are paid. All right. You want to make sure that you're not doing a bunch of free work. Yes, us smaller people will be putting in the free time longer, but you want to shorten that time frame as much as possible so you can keep reinvesting. Okay. And that's where these seasonal items can help you. I think that's where these seasonal items could help someone who's teetering on, do I pay tier 4, or do I go for broke and pay tier 5? At least that's how somebody from Patreon worded it to me. Mel, top tier included quarterly swag. Ooh, I love this. See, this is what I mean about digital swag. I would consider name in a book digital swag, because unless they go on to get a copy of the book in some way, there's no other transaction than me digitally putting their name there. And it can be very minimal to you for time and money consumption for now. I just watched one of my favorite indie musicians, Charlotte Wessels, go through a redesign of her Patreon. She waited 3 years, and she said, I probably waited 2 years too long to do it. So this kind of reflection should be done, if not part of your quarterly or bi-yearly reflections, definitely your annual reflections of, is it still serving my community and what my audience needs? Oh, I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. Characters under the mistletoe, digital wallpaper. That's an amazing idea. That's an amazing idea. Or like, this is something I planned on doing more so for Kickstarter. I'm going to be collaborating again with Jeremy when he's done a couple of more of the single sketches. And I'm hoping as a stretch goal for a Kickstarter to have him do legit coloring book pages. Mind you, line art commissions are way cheaper usually than full color. So if you have a community who's into that, are there coloring pages? I know that Mel makes coloring pages. Are there ones you yourself could make? Oh my goodness, Mel, if you put up occasional coloring pages, maybe surrounding one of those really juicy, delicious, amazing things our characters say at the center, 20-minute time investment, upload it as part of a community tab post there in Ream and just say happy birthday to whatever, or just because, or happy National Pizza Day for all I know, right? You're welcome. Feeding your own ideas right back to you, honey. Oh, hi, RC. It's great to have you here clowning around and the people who fear them. So are you joining in Ream Stories then, RC? Are you joining in for that? Some other seasonal items that could be cool to offer is if your book has a holiday or an event or something that is central to its plot. For example, my book series, The Myrna New Year, is around October 23rd. So maybe on October 23rd, I would send everybody a special digital piece of swag that day. Or maybe if like in the Hunger Games, there's this huge battle event where it's kind of like March Madness bracketed to see who's the winner, maybe run an actual bracket once a month and make it kind of choose your own adventure-y. And literally the way people interact and react in the comments is how it ends for the story that month. Just all thoughts. Just all thoughts. Coffee day! Yes, 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 yes. And there's lists of these things I can post about on my social media. Theme days. I know that some calendars for social media planners, like the Meta business backend, will sometimes give you a little note at the top of what it looks like for that day. If it's like, ice cream day, pizza, everything has a holiday national day. So they kind of tell you thematically to help you. Use those notes to your advantage. And yes, Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. You should. You should. Um, I'm planning kind of this huge takeover whenever I go to finish up Vitae, which is one of my spin-off series. So, Inca, Mel, kind of saying this because I know people who have multiple pen names and multiple universes interconnecting and not here. Maybe you could do a blank characters take over for a month for specifically with Vitae. It's going to go from looking all fantasy realms to very video game space agey and whatnot. And then when everything's done for that series being out, it'll go back to the Myrna being in control, if that makes sense. So that way, if you don't want multiple Ream story platforms, because I think they give you 2 now, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you only want to manage one, you could do takeover months like that from your other stories. I could see where that would be so interactive and fun. So interactive and fun. All right, we're going to get into the physical. Don't, Mel. Just don't. Just don't. Just don't, friend. Physical Ream stories. So, again, what can you make? What can you make? Might cost you a little bit on shipping to make and send those things, but if you already do it, why wouldn't you use it to your advantage? One of the things I would love to start doing for physical swag as a giveaway for my Ream stories, now that I make intention candles, Jenna plans on giving away an intention candle once a quarter that I make. You could give away. This would be a physical swag thing to me because it requires you physically interacting with them through a screen. Give away maybe not half an hour or an hour of coaching. Maybe they get half an hour, an hour with you just to pick your brain about the books. I could see where your top tier people would like that every 6 months. See, I did the crystals with my Kickstarter and they're staying. My Kickstarter is actually going to go on this time, is going to be a test run to see if I can turn my books into a book box. Surprise. I've mentioned it once or twice, but I basically want to do like a weekend with mindset, and you would get like a crystal, a candle, a coffee mug, and a satchel of tea is what I would love for it to be. That'll be a pricey book box though. You're looking at, 1 month is $50 probably for all those things and shipping included. But I want to test run something like that on a Kickstarter to see interest. Where would I probably start testing the swag? On my Ream stories. What do you guys like for physical swag? Yeah, I was going to say, if they're crucial for you, literally crystals are a part of your books. For me, they get referenced. So they're not as literally, if you haven't read the concept of Mel's books, there's gems and crystals that are involved with connecting people together. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. And I'm not going to spoil it more than that, because you can glean that from that sentence, is why I'm saying I'm trying not to give spoilers. Sorry, Mel. I'm being a bad friend. Anyway, other things that I would love to include are other local small businesses and feature them. Okay, this is where I would get into commissions, not just character art, but I know somebody who does wood engraved bookmarks. They literally live within an hour drive of my house. So I could go pick it up and mail them out to certain tiers. Maybe you get a wooden engraved bookmark for me twice a year. That is a random design that I pick. Thank you for the compliment, but maybe you know somebody who can make stickers and stuff for you. Maybe you run into somebody at a craft show who you can commission a bunch of stuff from. I would love it to be able to do that as a give back and a collab building piece to my business. Keep in mind, all of that takes time and money because they are going to want you to buy all that up front so that they can make it in one big batch. And it would be just limited to, this is where your limited to tiers would kind of start, guys. And yes, I highly suggest with the physical swag, when limit it. One, we all know what it's going to do to the audience. Now I feel pressured. Do I really wanted it or do I not? Looking at my Funko Pops for a reason. They, like the Disney Vault, have capitalized on that. We put it out for a limited time only, and then it disappears again for a bit. It works. Yes, this could also apply to some of your digital swag. We only do a takeover this month from this character, and then it goes away for a year. Kind of like how Sarah Cannon does her Spooktacular. Kind of like that. The tier that Inca's is quarterly vote for a short story or one shot with an exclusive post. See, simple stuff. And those postcards, you can get printed in bulk for not that much. I know somebody else, I think it's for their Ko-fi or their Patreon. They just buy plain old, like, computer stationery, like 8x10 computer paper that is stationery quality. Like it has a design or a border or whatever in the background. I, as a teacher, associate it with elementary school classrooms and writing projects. So now you really know the paper I'm talking about for some of you. Just, why am I beeping? I apparently am beeping. Hold on. Somehow my battery got disconnected. Anyway, we're fixed now. Go away, tech gremlins. We don't want you here no more. I was going to say, anything you can do to make it easy and fun, do. So this probably should say physical swag only. I apologize for my typos. Which tiers receive digital swag versus physical swag only? And again, if you're doing the physical swag, is it seasonal? And how similar do I want the digital swag to be for Ream Stories and Kickstarter versus, how similar do I want it the other way around? So this is a question of in between, like, can you share work here? Can you share time and money investments and reuse stuff? Do it. For the love of your sanity, do it. Sorry. That's why I was like, why do I hear Pong? Why do I hear Centipede? Because literally my battery was unplugged by that much. Hi, Kat. Thank you for stopping by. Glad to see you. And if you want to check out Kat on Twitch, please do so. So, overall Kickstarter tier questions. After you've done a little bit of comparison in between, good question, Sam. Would your Ream subscribers feel? No, I don't think so. This is why my Ream stories started after my Kickstarter last year, because I said with my Kickstarter that it was limited. And I'm not reordering those designs again once they're gone. I knew from the beginning that once I got through these 100, even if I used them on my Ream stories or a future Kickstarter to use them up, once they were gone, they were gone. It's still that limited time availability mindset. Look at your well-known book crates, and their merch is god tier. Yes, this. Like, I want to do this kind of stuff to test trial with my Kickstarter this time, because I did more, I wouldn't say basic, but routine book box stuff with the Kickstarter. And this is where I want to get leveled up to see if it is of interest with my books. So basically what'll happen is, instead of going to a Kickstarter, my third Kickstarter, my books might just get turned into a book box from now on, because Kickstarter does take a good chunk from you, like every platform rightfully should, to help you run those things. What can I do to minimize a third party taking cash and funds from me? Is it cheaper for me to work with wholesalers direct and do it myself? Lord knows I have the room in this basement for a reason. So I guess that would be a good question to keep in mind. Do you have the physical space to send out some of this stuff routinely? Unboxings, yes. To everyone who did one for me, thank you. You rock. Like, the Cheesecake Man probably does not realize how much squealing he's going to hear this year from this basement. Anyway, when do I plan to start my Kickstarter campaign? Give yourself time to plan this. I'm serious. You need to take time. The one thing I did not allow myself enough for the first one was time. The sooner you plan it, the longer you have to advertise it. So keep in mind that there is a difference in advertising mindset here, slightly, between Ream Stories and Kickstarter. I wouldn't. That's just me. I'm a Virgo, though, so take that however you will. I would definitely at least sit down and thoroughly spend a weekend planning out, how long is it going to take me to advertise this thing? Am I doing paid ads? Okay. Yeah, mine got funded in 24 hours the first time, but I was only asking for $500 because I didn't think I was going to get more than that with what I was offering. This time around, I would love my minimum to be $5,000. Realistically, I'm probably doing 2. So just wanted to lay that kind of, we've said it before, good, better, best applies. Why not say it again? Applies here. Especially if you want stretch goals. How long do I have to plan it? Include the stretch goals, okay? Stretch goals are going to be additional swag that either everybody would get, or maybe I don't know if there's the add in a new tier option. Can I realistically use certain number of time frames in the next X number of weeks to set this up and schedule out some items early before launch? When are they? This might be one of those I have to use virtual writing retreat weekend to set this up kind of things. Yes, I'm saying it because it's next weekend. Yes, my schedule is different. Heads up. How many tiers do you want? Applies here. With Kickstarter, you're going to want to look at the sources I gave you in the workbook, because I linked you to the Kickstarter for Authors group. I linked you to a free class. I linked you to a book and then a couple of other books and classes and things on the last page of the workbook to this live, where you can go and see thousands now of different ways people are using Kickstarter tiers in intriguing ways. Some people are even doing, depending on what their Kickstarter is about, they're doing add-on tiers that include coaching and things that are not book swag. Keep that in mind. So that's why I'm suggesting to check out those resources. Do I plan on using Ream Stories in connection with your Kickstarter? Are my notes from before different? I put this question here in case y'all did part 1 and came back and did part 2 and had new ideas, honestly. You're reading Kickstarter for authors books. Yes. I am so glad I'm doing Kickstarter. I almost didn't do Ream Stories and Kickstarter. I almost just went straight to Amazon and then wide again. And then I said, no, I might regret not trying. I can still post to Amazon. I can still post to wide if the Kickstarter and the Ream Stories fail, just to see if they do well on a different, if the fish swims better in a different pond, basically. But Althea Sharp's book, I hope I'm saying their name correctly, is amazing. If you have not read it, I highly suggest. And get into the Kickstarter for Authors Facebook group. Kickstarter works well for some genres, not for all. Same applies to Ream Stories, in my opinion. And not all the time does one do well on one and also do well on another. That is part of what I'm trying to test out this year. That is part of what I'm trying to test out. And then, of course, I went ahead and gave you the same questions for digital swag with Kickstarter. What can you make yourself? What things can you get on commission? Which tiers get physical swag only? This is where you're going to get into questions of how much do I want it to look like a book box? And I'm talking like people are literally getting the outside boxes where it has their author logo printed on it. It looks like a book box. And those are the ones that are selling $20K, $30K, $40K a piece. Just saying. So what can you do also to tie in a season? For example, if I were only doing book 4, Bound by Hope and Spirit, as its own Kickstarter, I would do it Christmas themed. Because literally, Vovry uses the 12 days of Christmas to prove to Maria that she should be marrying him. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert if you're reading. Sorry, but that's why I would tie it to that. Physical swag for Kickstarter. What kind of things in Canva can you make? Can you commission? And then you're seeing a pattern here. Which tiers get just the physical, and are there stretch goals? Okay. Now we get to a fun thing. Other than brainstorming some ideas, I'd like to take some time and let us do a little bit of journaling together or working together in the chats if you wanted to brainstorm naming some tiers. Naming the tiers can be fun, just like writing the jingle for a 90s commercial can be fun. If you enjoy playing word games, or if you have, like in my books, I took the military classifications of all the magical immortals, and that became my tier names. Like, how can you tie it in a fun way to your book? And for some of us, this is the easiest part. For other people, this is the hardest. So naming the tiers can be a blast. Again, for me, mine was easy. You're a Sunwalker, you're a Turnling, or you're some position in the military. So I did keep the tier names the same. Some people noticed that from my Kickstarter to my Ream Stories for that reason. I think also those tiny thematic connections would drive someone to want to go to your Ream, from your Ream to your Kickstarter and back, because they'll be like, oh, I'm a turnling here. I want to be a turnling over there too. They got to collect them all. They got to collect them all. And then for Sam, the first 3 were easy. The last 2 might take. This is where I would also say polling people who have read your book would be a good idea. When I first went through with naming my Kickstarter tiers, I had asked some people who had read book 1, should I do it this way, or this way? And all of them agreed. You should use XYZ. Just tied it to your story world. Exactly. Kat, your tries are currently just amounts, but the theme is Cat's Chaos Cafe, so probably need to come up with order names. Ooh, so like Macchiato or Macchiato instead of macchiato, right? You can make those cat-like plays on, like Catte du lot instead of Cafe du lot if you wanted. Use those. They seem, to some people, they seem gimmicky. To me, they're thematic. So it makes it an experience, right? If I were walking into a Ream Stories platform virtually or any other subscription platform virtually that was themed and they carried that theme through the whole way top to bottom, I would be like, man, I wish this were an actual place so I could go visit. And if that's what you're aiming to do to make that kind of make it feel welcome home vibe, don't hesitate. We are going to get ready and wind down. I did give you room to not only decide about what your names were, but also the reason why you picked those names and stuck with them, because we're human. We're going to forget why we made a decision 20 years from now, let alone 20 minutes from now for some of us. Pot calling kettle self out. Anyway, don't forget about the resources page at the very, very end of the workbook. It does list all of those links to those different places I mentioned for Ream and for Ream Stories and for Kickstarter. Let's go ahead into a little bit of a Q&A. This can also be like just a general talk and brainstorming session for the next couple of minutes as needed. Mel, you have a tier called Welcome to the Hellscape and another called Join the Demon Council. I love this. I love this. So this could definitely get factioned, I'm using that word for a reason, out into other things too. Because you could have a takeover for 1 month where maybe the Demon Council is going through refactioning. Let the people in comments and whatnot pick the new names and pick the whatnots. That could be a very interactive level up. I'm going to say this next part as a teacher. It takes time to sit down and write the classroom rules, the rules to the sandbox, the rules to the collaboration, whatever you're doing with your audience space. Sometimes it's worth it to reach out and ask them for their feedback because not only are you going to be better tuned into the data you need to be able to gear it towards what they as your audience would like from you, but also they might suggest something you never even thought of before. Or they might point out something that you did in your books that either A, you forgot about, or B, didn't intend. I'm starting to get a lot of the B here lately. It's helpful to get that info is why I'm sharing it. So any other questions? Mel, definitely going to have polls. Yes. Naming characters can be fun. Like one of the things I'm going to start doing here soon with mine is also polling them what historical scenarios do you want to see my characters randomly drug through. My characters have an entire gap of time from like the 1670s or 80s clear through to like 2020 2010, where there's nothing going on because book 5 ends. I'm giving you spoilers here, sorry. Book 5 ends in the late 1600s. Book 6 picks up in 2015-ish. I'm going to have a lot of stuff to fill in the gaps. One of the things people want to see is one of my characters literally being a British spy. And I don't need to say which 2 wars are my choosing, because I think you know which 2 wars are my choosing. And I'm like, gosh darn it. I knew who it has to be. His name is Toos, and he is a very puckish fairy. Anyway, so you could get into kind of like how Inka said, those shorts, writing them with the community, not just for the community you're building. Maybe you have an artist who then turns it into a coloring book page. Maybe you collaborate with somebody. This is something I would love to do. One of the things I would love to do is turn my books into a tabletop RPG eventually. And yes, I have a friend who would be a third person to come in and help me mathematically work out the mechanics that my brain can't handle. One of the things I would love to do as a random drop for Ream Stories is a 1-session playthrough of any scenario in my books as a tabletop RPG. It's going to take me probably a quarter or 2 to write that. So I would want to give myself 6 months to prep it before it would drop, say, on Unai Ankh 2025, October 23rd, whatever, right? You have the Blood Club Donor, Bloodborne Archive, Night Library, Celestial Council. There are 2 other combo tiers. Yes, combo tiers are not something that I exactly covered as well as Inka exemplifies. We'll put it that way. And they're all named after institutions or locations in the books. Perfect example. Perfect example. So, any other questions or brainstorms, let us know. I do have a third one in this series. We might not do it until February, only because there's virtual writing retreat weekend for the Heart Breathings writing community next weekend. And then we kind of slide right into February right after. So I don't know if we could squeeze another one in January. But I would love to do another one on looking at actually like me designing my swag, some of in Canva, walking you through. That was an iffy one. I may do it. I may not. We shall see. You're welcome. You're welcome. I wanted to just give us a place to kind of co-talk about it and at least give some people who maybe needed guiding directions to get them started on the decision-making process, because there's a ton of info out there, ton of info out there, but it can be a little bit overwhelming for some of us to actually start putting it into practice. So thank you all for being here, everyone. Seriously, thank you. I appreciate you, for being here so much. Let me get to the correct slide here. It's here somewhere, guys. I promise. So thank you all for being here. We may do a third one in February, but otherwise later this week, outside of Virtual Writing Retreat Weekend, I will be having some other items come out about #AnimeTaughtMe. Sam has already added to the playlist, and I cannot wait to see what all of our other collaborators plan to do with that. If you're not sure what it is, check out the playlist here on my channel. Tomorrow is going to be a very busy day. If you want to hang out with me in chats, I will be in Mel's morning sprints, and then Mel is hosting a Mugs and Milestones chat. So please do check that out tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern as well. And as always, take care of yourselves. I know you're worth it. Thanks for spending time with me today. Bye.